to a very special wake-up call with Dan Tortora inside of what we call Dolphin time. And I am honored and privileged as we've been able to have AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta. We've had Dolphin dive with these student athletes here at LeMoyne, and now I have the pleasure and the honor to have the president of LeMoyne College, Linda LeMura, here with me. So Linda, how are you?
I'm so well, so well. Thank you for having me, Dan. It's a joy and a privilege to be with you.
And you know, I always say that it's my joy and my privilege. So I appreciate that very much. So, and from afar, Linda, I've had the opportunity to really get to know kind of who you are in the essence of your spirit around this entire campus. It's felt, it's known. And I think that you should know that leadership-wise, it's something that you don't see very often, the way that you go about your business and the way that you treat people. And that's a very important reason why I wanted to be here with you today.
Well, thank you for that feedback. It's gratifying to know that just being myself is actually being noticed and it's felt by others, particularly the student body. And there's really no ambiguity in my leadership. I love LeMoyne and I love our students.
What made you fall in love with LeMoyne? What was it?
The authenticity of the school, the passion of the faculty. There's a spirit of community here that I've never experienced on other campuses in my career. And I love how everyone galvanizes around our Jesuit mission to bring out the very best in all of our students across all areas of the campus.
And when you see this Jesuit, you know, the values, the morals that come from a Jesuit background, to me, as people know that have listened and watched Wake Up Call and really anything we've done, is the fact that I don't hide that I love God. And I love when I see that in other people, that unapologetic, like, this is me, I have a strong faith, and it's not a bad thing, you know. And in today's world, I feel like some people feel that they need to hide under a rock, hide under their desk, and not say it so loudly, where, you know, I always tell people the last thing that I ever want to hear God say to me at the end of my life is for him to lean in and go, hey, you were a broadcaster and you talk for a living? Yeah, well, you didn't really mention me. I don't want to hear that. And so, you know, what's it like to be so unapologetically proud to have faith in God and to share that, not only as a campus, but as a college, and share it with the world?
First of all, I've worked in secular institutions before, and while the mission of those institutions was very, very important, I always felt as though, Dan, that there wasn't a sense of the ultimate purpose of what we're trying to do, and a clear and compelling appreciation for the dignity of every human person and our responsibility to ensure that their God-given potential has been realized. For me personally, the first thing that I noticed when I interviewed to become the Dean of Arts and Sciences on this campus was in the cornerstone of Gruen, the letters AMDG, for the greater glory of God. Obviously it's in Latin. I thought, oh my goodness, we can talk about God at LeMoyne. We are a welcoming institution to people of all faith traditions and none, but we can be comfortable in our own skin and tell the world that this is who we are. We're unapologetic for it. Obviously we make mistakes here, there, and everywhere like anyone else, but our mission is clear, compelling, unambiguous. You can feel it the moment you walk on the campus. And on a practical note, Dan, when people say, gee, I don't know, is that a good thing in the 21st century to be able to talk about God in a very open way? And my position is, even if you're a non-believer, why would you want to look like 4,000 other schools?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
There's no compelling reason for that whatsoever, but for us it works.
Yeah, you know, and I'm the same way with my show and with my companies. I tell people all the time, hey, you believe in what you want to believe in.
Amen.
Or don't believe in what you want to believe in. And, you know, I welcome you to the show, but in the same respect, welcome me. And I think that, you know, that's the message I'm hearing from you with LeMoyne is, hey, we're going to be us. We welcome everybody. We love everybody. We want everybody to feel at home here. And we're going to be who we are.
That's exactly right. You said it so much better than I did. That was absolutely magnificent and spot on, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, we have a sense of hospitality, which is in keeping with our tradition, a respect for diversity, a diversity of opinions and ideas. All of these are in keeping with the Catholic intellectual tradition, so it's not forced.
Yeah.
This is who we are, and we're proud of it, and we welcome everyone to the table. Believers or non-believers, people of all faiths, but we're going to be up let's just say forthright
Yeah.
with who we are and why.
And when you have grown in your position from July 1st of 2014 to now, how would you define when you say who we are? Who is LeMoyne? You know, when we look at the grand scope of things, we look at colleges, we look at universities, we look at the world of academics and athletics. Who, you know, when LeMoyne steps to the table, who are we meeting? When that name tag goes down, who can we expect to see there?
Well, let me tell you. LeMoyne is one of 27 Jesuit institutions in a higher ecosystem of higher ed ecosystem of roughly 4,000 to 4,500 institutions of higher learning in this great country of ours. Within that subset of 27, you have a group of schools that have a history and a tradition that is literally, without a scintilla of hyperbole, 500 years old. So what do we bring to the table? On the one hand, we just turned 75, and in institutional terms, we're an adolescent. We're young. On the other hand, we're 500 years old with this spectacular intellectual tradition and a beautiful spirituality. So we bring the tradition and the intellectual acuity of the centuries, but with a fresh look. So while you may have Georgetown as the oldest, LeMoyne comes to the table as the youngest. And as I like to say to my colleagues at Georgetown, sure, you've been around a long time, you're very, very affluent, all beautiful things, but we're young, we're cool, we're hip, we're nimble, and we're better looking than all of them.
I like that. I like that.
Keep it fun.
Yeah.
Another benefit of being young.
You know, and that's the beauty of it, as we're here in this very amazing sit-down special that we have on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and through Dan Tortora Broadcast Media with Linda LeMura. And Linda, going back to July 1st of 2014, you were named the 14th president in the year of 14. How unique was that for you? And do you have moments like that where you feel like there's kind of these, because in my world, I feel like God does these little intricate, like, hey, I'm here, there's a little message. So 14, on 2014, did that ever stick with you?
You know, Dan, to be honest, it didn't until this moment. You know, maybe there's something there, and there's a beautiful blessing there for me that it's a sign of goodwill and good faith. To tell you the truth, the main thing was that I brought something different to the college in my leadership, both not just because I was the first female, but I have a different approach to my relationship and interactions with faculty and with students, and I think that's been the hallmark so far since 2014.
First female layperson to be the president of a Jesuit institution in the United States.
That happened in 2014.
Yeah.
Can I tell you why I think that happened?
Why?
I think it happened because LeMoyne was the only Jesuit institution in the United States to open as a co-ed school. All the others were open to serve only men. And as a result of serving women back in 1946, first graduating class 51, women then were able to go into a trajectory that landed them on boards, including the Board of Trustees at LeMoyne, so they were well poised to be the first. And that's the beauty of passing it on and passing it on. You know, whether you're a female or a male is irrelevant. The tradition is for everybody.
And for you to have that history with a school that felt that equality was important so many years ago, in a world where we're still seeking equality, how does LeMoyne stand at the forefront of that, knowing that they did something that maybe wasn't well welcomed by others back then, and now as we step further into the 21st century, we're trying to continue that move toward doing the right thing, I guess is the way to put it.
We're a fantastic question, Dan. Because of our youthfulness, we're not bound by any venerable traditions where we have to constantly look over our shoulder and say, how is this resounding on the rest of the world?
Yeah.
We step up to the table and have these serious conversations about who we are and what we want to be in the world, and we let the mission of intellectual rigor, a sense of community and companionship, and a faith of God lead our way in terms of how we make good decisions here. And broad consultation is a part of who we are and why we still thrive. And as a result of those things, we are inclusive by nature.
The world today seemingly has, I'm sitting here at this moment at 35 years old, and I can honestly say that when I was a kid at Our Lady of Pompeii, right down there in the...
Oh my gosh, that's where I went to school.
Oh yeah, and I believe that one of your family members was with me, Jamie.
My nephew.
Yes.
You're about the same age. That's
Yeah.
right. Oh my goodness, it's all in the family.
Yeah, so Jamie and I, Our Lady of Pompeii.
You realize we're practically related now.
I know, it's family now. and you know, I look back at that time, and how if you didn't believe in God back then, if you didn't have like a faith or some substance in that respect, you got like smacked in the back of the head. And now I look all these years later, a couple decades later, and I see this world where I always treated people like we were equal. I didn't care what color anybody was. I wanted to play basketball, and whoever wanted to play with me, regardless of color, background, nationality, money, whatever, we played. So in my world, I didn't know women are different. Different colors are different. You know, different backgrounds are different. And now, as I'm 35 years old and looking back to when I was 7, I'm saying to myself, how did we seemingly fall backward as a society? Do you feel the weight of that as a president of an institution?
Another magnificent question. Dan, I feel the weight of that every day. There's not a day where that reality does not escape, doesn't escape my thinking, sometimes my worrying.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest with you, during the simpler times when we were children attending a Catholic school, I mean, you're quite right. What was front and center for us was the dignity of every person. It wasn't qualified by only the dignity of you, but not me. That's, you know, the word Catholic is universal. We've lost our way, and the Catholic Church has made some mistakes along the way that are very, very public. And yet we continue to thrive in some aspects of our faith. Obviously, we have questions and worries, but Dan, at the end of the day, you know, we're a people of hope and forgiveness. And if I'm going to walk around this campus like I have the weight of the world and a 50-pound sack of potatoes on my back, and we're a Catholic institution and we can't solve all the problems, etc., what message am I sending about resilience and good decision making? But LeMoyne is committed to continue to focus on our goals of diversity and equity and inclusion, not because it's mandated, but because it's the right thing to do and it fits. It's a perfect fit for who we are, what we want to be in the world.
You said something, we're doing it because it's the right thing to do.
That's right.
Not because you're being forced into it, not because publicly it looks good. You know, I question sometimes, growing up as a kid, you question, is somebody sorry because they were wrong or because they got caught?
Well said.
And now in today's world, you know, I question, in that same parallel, is somebody doing the right thing because they got caught or because it's the right thing to do?
That is so well said. And this historical context about LeMoyne is important because it reminds people of our youthfulness and where we are at this stage in our maturation as a school. We have to understand that when Bishop Forey put forth this idea and asked the Jesuits to come here and start a school, the purpose of this school was to give students, particularly GIs, an option over Syracuse University because Catholics, particularly Catholics from Western Europe, were discriminated against. So this notion of being marginalized is not foreign to the DNA of LeMoyne. The issue here is we're only 3 generations old, and we have been taking care of those Catholics and their children and their grandchildren Now we're moving into the great-grandchildren, and as we become more mature, you're going to see the fruitfulness of our planning and our diversity efforts. In other words, on the one hand, people may say, you need to move faster. On the other hand, we say, if you take a look at our trajectory over 3 family generations, your assessment of where we stand in the world should change immediately. This is what you call warp speed. But society wants, like the internet, boom, boom, boom. We tell you to do this, make it happen right away. That's not how colleges and universities mature.
And I think that that's an incredible approach to talk about the evolution and that systematic positive change over time is a lot different than, essentially a healthy mind, healthy body. You want to be healthy, you work on your body every day, you walk every day, but some people want a pill. Or they want to go get surgery. They want it to be immediate. I'm going to eat whatever I want, and then I'm going to have you take it all away from me. And that's not how you really see dedicated, purposeful change.
Dan, when that happens and you move too quickly to satisfy people, essentially what that is window dressing. And institutions do that sometimes for the optics and to push the tension and the pressures aside. That helps for a short period of time. In the long run, the quality of your decision making, the quality of your reflection, or in the Jesuit vernacular, your discernment, and prayer, that allows you to make good decisions that will last for generations. And frankly, that's what we're about at this institution. We're not about what's on the headlines only today, but the good decisions we can make for families over the long haul.
And you speak on being an institution, a Jesuit institution, Catholic, that there is that background of the Catholic faith. There's a juxtaposition that's been created in the world that's not true, which is that the Catholic faith is discriminatory, where it's the opposite. Like you said, we were brought up in the Catholic faith to be welcoming to everybody, and we didn't know that differences should define us or divide us, but they should almost bring us to the table more because we want to learn and really create a team that has a bunch of different skill sets.
Dan, again, this has turned out to be a really, really fun interview. I've never been asked questions like this before, and I'm just so grateful for them. Dan, here's how I would comment there. When the Catholic Church is at its best, it is a spectacular, spiritual, 2,000-year-old institution. And sometimes our better angels come to the top. And sometimes the Catholic Church, by that I mean all of us, including the hierarchy that makes many, many decisions, can make mistakes because we're human. The Catholic Church is people. It's not a bishop or the bishops. It's not even the Pope, who happens to be Jesuit, by the way, and we do love him. It's all of us in unison trying to make the best decisions that will allow us to love one another, to give people opportunity. That is the essence of being, quote unquote, a good Catholic. It doesn't mean being perfect, because if that's the threshold, everybody's in a heap of trouble.
Yeah.
Even Francis would admit to that.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. Chasing perfection is something that I think
elusive.
Yeah, it is, and you're never going to catch it, because I think if you really do believe in the faith that you and I share, the only perfection has come, died, and will be on his way back at some point.
Amen to that.
So, and I wear that on my chest every single day, and that's important to me. So, for you to have all of this background and all of this beautiful kind of veins that go through to the heartbeat of LeMoyne, you have so much fun. And watching you from afar, it was funny. I was talking with Bob Beretta about this, the director of athletics director. It's always used back and forth, and I always say to people, "Do you like AD, DA, whatever?" But speaking with Bob, I said, Linda and I have never spoken. We've never sat down and talked up to this point.
Right.
However, on social media, we're always connecting with each other, sometimes at 3 a.m., you know what I mean? And
it's true.
You have so much fun doing what you do. Why? Why are you this big kid? Because normally when you see a president, It is the opposite of childlike fervor and imagination and excitement. You see kind of like grizzly, just kind of hovering, maybe vulture-esque.
I know.
So you have this kid-like excitement and behavior. Really bring the happy kid into the most prominent role at a college or university.
You know, here's the secret sauce, Dan.
No. Pay attention, everybody. This is important. Nobody ever tells their ingredients.
The
Okay.
best learners on the planet are children. They are wired to learn.
Yeah.
They are passionate. They are curious. They are whimsical. They are playful. They are incredibly loyal and full of joy. In all of those things, obviously we have to make decisions as adults, but in all of those things, when you get the right dimensions, or the right ratio, perhaps is the better word, that way of proceeding can spread around a campus. And here I am around some of the smartest people. I love surrounding myself with all people like you, full of energy, asking amazing questions, faculty that are scholars, amazing researchers and teachers, a Jesuit community that I deeply, deeply love and respect. All of these people, it's the most amazing job. Even with all the problems, I have the best job in the world. I have alumni that love their institution, their alma mater, and they want to give back. The days can be long and hard, but every day, even when it's a hard day, has elements of joy. And to me, that's about as good as it gets. We get to watch students in a period of 4 years transform. Right before our eyes, from these youthful freshmen, 17 and 18 years old, to walking across the stage and saying, President LeMura, I'm going to Georgetown Law. President LeMura, I'm going to University of Rochester Medical School. And I remember thinking, when I first met you, I was wondering how things were going to turn out.
Yeah.
And then, in this, I like to call it, in our Italian heritage, it's like this amazing marination, a minestrone, of all these different components of this college. Athletics, the honors program, the Jesuits who sing, isn't that a great little play on words? Yeah. These faculty who do amazing research, after 4 years, change these people into the leaders of the next generation. What a joy, what a gift. So
your day to day, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing that you say to yourself?
I don't know if I'm proud of this, but the first thing is, I've got so much to do today, and I look at my calendar and I say, I know this isn't the way the day is going to be.
Yeah.
But I start my day, I read for about between an hour and 2 hours every morning, and I get inspiration from reading journals, reading the best newspapers in America, checking my social media feeds. I curate it for certain people and for certain inspirations. And then I get up and go. I find a spot in the day for exercise, for family life, all of that. And I try not to look too far ahead, because sometimes it could be paralyzing when you think about all the things you need to do. So I try to compartmentalize, and so far so good. Knock on St. Ignatius.
No, and it's very important for someone who has so many different things to do. And you and I spoke off the air about what I call controlled chaos, which is when you walk into my house. I love to make my house neat, but if you go into my office and you go into my studio and you go into like my bedroom and by the bed and this and that, I have to have certain piles, certain napkins I wrote on, certain notebooks open. There's things that have to follow me, and I'll set myself up, and I always thank past Dan for present Dan and future Dan, because past Dan will say, hey, you're going to forget the recorder today, so I'm going to put it right by the refrigerator, because when you get your water in the morning, you're going to turn around and go, oh my gosh, there it is. So I find myself constantly thanking the past version of myself for setting me up. But I find that I very, very much I live in a world of controlled chaos where it may not all make sense to the outside looking in, but I have to have piles in certain places.
You know what, Dan? Me too. And you know what? This controlled chaos, I don't want to live in a world that's contrived.
Yeah.
You know, that looks so perfect and so plastic, and we're about, as I shared at the outset, authenticity.
Yeah.
And being a college president is really, really, it's hard. It's an endurance event. I'm not going to kid you.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I might have to sprint here or there, but by and large, it's an endurance event. And
Yeah.
I want students to see me engaged in the world of the work in a realistic way. And by the way, you said an amazing thing about being thankful. So at the heart of the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius of Loyola, who is the founder of the Jesuits, is gratitude. That is at the heart and soul of a Jesuit education, that I have gratitude for the education given to me by these professors who give their lives to their vocations, by the Jesuit community, by my parents and the alumni, everyone who loves this institution, and grateful to God for the opportunity to work in an environment and play in an environment. For me, the line between work and play is blurred, as you noted earlier. And by expressing gratitude, it affects your mood even on a really hard day. Thank you for the opportunity to try to solve these knotty problems.
Yeah. And I think, and I apologize when I don't do this, but I say the first thing that I want every morning to be for me is that I wake up and I say, thank you, God, for waking me up today.
Oh.
And my dog, who curls up next to me and is 10 pounds, but lays in a bed like she's 150, she's right up against you like a heater, and I always say, thank you, God, for Lily and I waking up today.
That's a beautiful inspiration. And I flip it a little bit. My gratitude is usually before I fall asleep.
Yeah.
But the point is, you get it into the course of your day, and that's what really, really matters. Thank you for this gift of life, and for the wonderful opportunity to change, in my case, to change lives every day.
Yeah.
Every single day. Who gets to say that? Maybe you do. Maybe you do. I think you do.
I try.
Yeah, the way
I
in which
try.
you communicate with others, you bring joy, you bring information. That's a beautiful thing. That's why I'm drawn to you on the internet, and I follow you because it's very uplifting.
Well, I appreciate that
Of
coming
course.
from an uplifting person.
Oh.
And there's so many places to go in these conversations and so many things that we could talk about, but my heart is drawn to the fact that your heart seems very pure. And the older we get, it seems like the farther we get from remembering what did heaven look like. Well, what are we supposed to do? As a kid, they say you can see things, you can sense a spirit, you know when something's good, when something's not. You have a very innocent approach because you're coming from heaven, coming here, so that you have this connection, so you get it. And then the longer you're here, you kind of like forget how to get home. Maybe you left the breadcrumbs and maybe you ran out, maybe you didn't follow them as much. Your heart seems to have a level of purity that people don't always show. So how do you try to stay pure of heart? How do you try to stay innocent in a world that's trying to make you forget what heaven looks like?
Wow. My gosh. Once again, I have to tell you, you are one of a kind. Trust me on this. And yeah, I'm not exactly certain, Dan, on the aspect of purity. I'd like to aspire to that.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. But I think, listen, I'm the daughter of immigrants, and I am the classic American success story in that my parents come here with their family started. They embed themselves in an Italian-American community, in an Italian-American parish,
Yeah.
where we relied on one another, and where family was the heart and soul of everything that we did in our faith. And from that discipline that you learn as an American immigrant, and the commitment to education and faith, those things they're profound yet so simple, and it keeps your moral compass really, really grounded. And then, I started in secular institutions as a professional, but my heart was always coming back to my roots.
Yeah.
And this is like, it's like putting on a really comfort jacket every morning. Like, oh my goodness, this is a good fit. It's a good match. I like how I feel in this. I like how I look in this. I'm really comfortable. I'm nimble. That's LeMoyne for me, and interacting with young people. So when you find your life's work in
Yeah.
a way that I have, it's, I don't know, it's the greatest blessing you can have.
To do what you love and love what you do.
Amen.
So you don't feel like you're working. People tell me that all the time. They go, "You don't ever look like you're working, but you never look like you're working." And I was like, "Yeah, because I enjoy it."
That's the key. And actually, that's another important part of the Jesuit spirituality is asking yourself these questions, and I still do, right? As I reflect, who am I? What difference do I want to make in the world? Where do I belong? What are my gifts? How can I use those gifts to amplify the lives of others and work on behalf of the greater good? They're not hard questions to ask. You know, they're hard to answer, and as you get older, you get the wisdom of experience that help, refine your thinking along these lines. But for me, at this point in my life, I look back at this opportunity in 2014, and I think to myself, thank you, or in our vernacular, grazie, really grazie. Thank you for this.
That coming from Linda LeMura here with us, the president of LeMoyne College. You go to games, and you go to games very quietly in the sense of other presidents, other chancellors would want people to know that they're there. You walk in, you're wearing a jersey or a jacket or a T-shirt for the Dolphins, and you go in quietly, and you may get into it in the sense of you want the kids to know, hey, you can do this, I believe in you, we got your back.
That's it.
But you very much are a fan, and you walk in, and I've seen you do it at a volleyball game. I came to shoot a couple pictures, and there you are with Bob, and just kind of hanging out.
That's right.
So what's it like for you to not only ask people to be fans, but to say, hey, you know what, money where my mouth is, I'm a fan.
Well, first of all, you might know that I used to be an athlete in the days of my youth, and I used to love when the university president or my faculty members or mentors would come and watch me play. I never forgot that.
Yeah.
And I want our young people to know that I believe in them. And to be honest with you, Dan, I love sport. I love the nature of competition and collaboration, all melted into this beautiful amalgam of athletics. I love the teamwork and the strategy, and I love that we're producing leaders from these athletic teams. And I want the students to know that I'm trying to blend with them and show an esprit de corps and a comfort level with them that I'm your biggest fan. When I need to show gravitas at different moments during the life of a university president, of course I will do what I need to do. And but a president wears many hats.
Yeah.
There are days when I'm a scholar. There's a day when I'm a public intellectual. There might be a day where I'm working in the community doing service learning. There are days when I'm jogging. I say jogging, the student athletes say running with the athletes. There's a day when I'm shooting hoops. There's a day when I'm the college's business officer. That's another joy of the job. It's never boring. And 2 days are never equal, ever.
Yeah.
That's some people would find that tedious, and that for me, that's rocket fuel.
To have the fact that you do what you love what you do, but it's different every day.
So much variety.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a world traveler.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm working with political types, and some days it's all of those things in one day. So you have to have a lot of energy and really love it, because it can be challenging, of course.
So many things already challenge a president.
Mm.
Then we look at within the NCAA's world, the transfer portal,
Yeah.
immediate eligibility, name, image, and likeness, and on top of that, a pandemic that comes abound, the realignment that is brought up so much with Division I, but that happens with Division II and happens with Division III, and different conferences are started and dissolved and whatnot. How do you navigate a world where you're trying to understand name, image, and likeness, you're trying to understand the fact that the NCAA right now may not even understand itself, and that's the constitutional review that it's going through?
You're right.
So we're living in a world where if they don't know who they are, how do we know who they are?
Yeah.
Makes life interesting for you.
It does, and I have to be honest, I'm trained as a faculty member,
Yeah,
right? I was a professor
yeah.
for a good chunk of my life, so I have to surround myself with people who know a lot more about these things than I do and who are experts. Bob Beretta is that person for me, and I told him when we hired him, I need you to translate the NCAA for me into English.
Yeah.
Or Italian even. I don't understand the compass of the NCAA. I don't understand the direction, but you're spot on. They don't either. And that impacts every institution of higher learning that supports athletic teams. And what we're seeing is, I think, Dan, a bifurcation of the Power Five and all of the money, let's be honest, that's associated with the Power Five. And then, everyone else who's involved in athletics that cares deeply about the student-athlete experience and, the last true sports leagues. So there was a book written about the last amateurs, about the Patriot League. And, it could be that Division II and III might be the purest leagues going forward, or there could be a mix, a hybrid of 1 and 2 or 2 or 3. It depends on what happens with this Constitution. In any case, I think that having the right leader, in our case, Bob, he's an amazing leader, we're so fortunate to have him here, where he's reading the tea leaves that will constantly, so that we can make the right decisions when the time comes and the NCAA figures out who they are and what they want to be in the world. I hope it's soon, Dan, because right now we're all living in a world of ambiguity.
And that's a perfect way to put it, living in a world of ambiguity.
It's very, very true.
It is true. It's can somebody tell me who I am, because I don't know.
I'm trying to figure it out.
And I think that in this world that we've spoken about so much, and you've done such a fantastic job of paintbrushing this and really designing a beautiful portrait of it in this conversation today, is that living in a world where you don't know who you are and waiting for someone to tell you who you are has created, through social media, through a lot of different powers that be that may not seek to bring together but seek to divide. When an individual doesn't know who they are, an organization, a group doesn't know who they are, who they want to be, it can cause for that kind of schizophrenia, so to speak, of personality, of who do I want to be, who am I with these people, who am I with this person. And they've said a long time ago, but it's true, if you don't stand for something, you can fall for anything. I feel like we're living in a world that's in a very dangerous place, and I can't speak for other countries, I can speak for America, but we're living in a world where if you don't know who you are, then the manipulation of that can be catastrophic.
We're living that every day now, Dan. The way I see it, Dan, this is such a serious and sobering question and comment that you're making here. If you're not clear about your mission and your vision, someone else will assign a mission and vision to you. That doesn't mean that you're not opening, if you have a clear mission, that you need to be open to consultation and an understanding and reading the signs of the time. But your fundamental values as an institution, they need to be immutable. This is why I say I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm open to new ideas. I work in a college. We share ideas and disagree with one another every day.
Yeah.
Multiple times a day.
Yeah.
And but that doesn't change our mission, Dan.
Yeah.
Not for a moment. And the impact of social media as a mechanism to debate rigorous questions and complex questions has hurt us immensely. And I say to our students, why do you think you can take a position on an important issue of our day in a text box that gives you this much space? Are you that amazing a writer that you can formulate a hypothesis and share your ideas and your solutions in 125 characters? If so, what are you doing here? You should be in D.C. at the White House, or you should be the Pope, perhaps. It's not doable, but we've lost an attention span We've lost the ability to engage like you and me right now.
Yeah.
You're asking me these unbelievable questions. Could you imagine asking me these questions on Instagram? How could I possibly give you an answer? Instead, you're choosing the right medium for the right time for the right questions. We've lost that, and you have it, for which I am so grateful.
I appreciate
It's absolutely clear. We need to make time for one another, whether you're a college president, you're in media, a physician, an engineer. When you lose that, you lose your common humanity. And that's when the problems start to escalate.
divide and conquer.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
Before we finish this special with the president of LeMoyne College, Miss Linda LeMura, and I do want to talk about this, and I should say Mrs. because I want to bring up your family, Lawrence and Emily. What is home life like for you when you see those faces?
There's just a spirit of calm and joy and immense gratitude, even when we're chaotic. My husband is a professor here, and Emily now has graduated from college, Jesuit educated, of course. And when we're together, it's a sense of sanctuary and solace. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would do without my family. You mentioned a family member before. There's 6 in my family, 6 children in my family, and we're all very, very close still, which is not unusual for a family of immigrants. Jamie's dad, my brother, lives a few doors up from me,
Yeah.
which is another sign of a family that's not been in this country all that long, you know? And it's another part of the blessing in my life to know that I have some balance between, listen, Dan, it's a hard job that I have, but I love it, and it's joyful. And then, you know, my personal life and family life, all those things. That, thank God I think I have the right balance. Sometimes when I don't, members of the Jesuit community or my friends or the trustees will say, Linda, give it a rest. Go do something fun.
Yeah. Well, and I think you find the fun in so many things. So.
I think so too. I think so too.
I'm sitting here today with the unbelievable and to me very incredible, very humbling honor that not only am I sitting with you, but an idea that I had that I brought to Bob Beretta for a multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne, not even knowing that it was the first in the history of the school.
That's right.
To be able to do this and to be working with you, this started September 1, 2021.
That's right.
Yet, the way that you treat me and the person you are, the way that Bob has treated me, the way I felt on this campus in general, and the connections I've already made beforehand, the idea of a multimedia marketing partnership and what that could be, the template is so high for me now because of LeMoyne that to bring that anywhere else, I have an expectation of the president. I have an expectation of the director of athletics. I have an expectation of the coaches and the players, the student athletes. It's something to be said about the fact that an idea that I had that I wanted to start years ago, but for some odd reason just felt like, you know what, bring it to Bob. Something inside of me said he could be the right person for this.
Interesting.
It's built a world for me that can only exponentially grow, but because it started in the right place, and I can only thank God and good people such as yourself and Bob to see something in it and believe in it. But to me, I do. I wake up every day since September 1, before September 1, we talked about it, somewhat speechless, extremely grateful, and constantly wanting so badly to bring the LeMoyne message out because I just feel I feel that, you know, it's kind of like God put the sword on my back and said, go out there and you know, show the world, battle the right way. And I want you to know that I feel this very positive, and not even call it a weight, but I feel the spirit of LeMoyne with me in this opportunity. And like I told Bob, I'm not going anywhere. You're going to have to get used to me a decade from now. But there's a love that's been created from this that makes me feel like I've done it forever.
You know, I am so grateful for your partnership here because you want to tell the story of LeMoyne. And there are so many stories actually embedded within the greater story of the college. And I can't tell you the number of people since 2014 who have said to me, LeMoyne is such a hidden gem. We don't really know it until we spend some time on the campus and get to interact. We tell the story of LeMoyne. And you stepped up, and you're doing that very thing for us by telling the story of our athletes. Each one is a gift from God, and you're expounding upon that in these meaningful ways, and you're capturing the spirit of the college, which is a faithful institution, part of an amazing tradition, as I shared before, and yet punching above its weight in light of its youth. We see our youthfulness as an asset, not a liability. You are capturing that, for which I am incredibly grateful. I might be your biggest fan. You may think it was Bob Beretta.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate that.
Well, if it's you and Bob fighting for positivity in my life, I will take that fight any day.
Back at you.
And my final piece is something I get to do with the student athletes, something I do with the coaches, and I want to give you the opportunity. I have never asked the president to do this, but I'm going to ask you to be a part of Rapid Fire. And what that is on Wake Up Call
Sounds like fun.
is the opportunity to ask questions about literally anything, and I have to answer it. Now, normally I will put you on the hot seat and then put myself on the hot seat. This time around, because you've been such an incredible guest here with me and answered so many questions that are so deep and so vast, and I feel like really open up the universe and not just a tiny little world, I'm going to put myself on the hot seat. I'm going to allow you to ask me any 3 questions in the world on the spot. Linda LeMura, here with me, and whenever you're ready, you can ask it. I have to answer it.